When I was 28, my world got rocked. My then husband, Ethan, who was only 27, suddenly hit me with divorce papers. Can you believe it? I never saw it coming. I thought we were the perfect team, living the dream, but nope. Out of the blue, he decided to bail. It was like a sudden plot twist in a movie, totally unexpected. Unfortunately, this year, I was thrown into a real-life nightmare. I got caught in a hit-and-run, landing me in the hospital. To make matters worse, my insurance barely covered anything, and the person responsible vanished without a trace. My bank account took a massive hit, wiping out my savings. Because of my injuries, I couldn't even climb the 5 flights of stairs to my apartment anymore, and just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, I lost my job. It was like everything was crashing down around me, one of the toughest times in my life. Ethan and I hadn't spoken in ages, but out of the blue, he reached out. He offered me a place to stay, in one of his spare rooms, no less. I was cornered, with nowhere else to turn. I tried to pay him rent, but he wouldn't take a dime. He's got a maid for all the housework, so I chip in by cooking occasionally. It's an all-right setup. He's always buzzing with energy and conversation. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, it almost feels like we're back to being friends, just like old times. We never crossed that line again into being a couple, or having to go through another divorce. Just recently, my old friend Sophia, from way back when, called me up. She was feeling sorry about my situation and wanted to make sure I found a place to stay. When I mentioned I was living with Ethan, she was adamant about coming over to see us. She even has a daughter now. Sophia wanted to visit because she too had been friends with Ethan and had chosen not to take sides back then. When Sophia showed up, she immediately dove into how she thought I was in a bad spot. She quizzed me about whether I was paying rent. I admitted I wasn't. Then she hit me with this warning, saying that Ethan's sympathy wouldn't last forever. She even asked if I wanted to live like a beggar for the rest of my life. I stood my ground, telling her I was no beggar. But she didn't seem convinced, and said she'd spread the word to her friends. Sophia said that if I didn't think that what I was doing was wrong, I wouldn't have cared if she told everyone. I felt humiliated and ashamed. I have been avoiding her. She called me yesterday and said that I was being childish and emotionally manipulative for behaving that way. Am I the a-hole? Well, Opie, in my opinion, no. You are not the a-hole. I'm not sure that living with your ex-husband is the best thing to do, thinking about emotional health. But it was apparently the only person that offered to help out. So, yeah, you're not the a-hole, and to be honest, she doesn't sound like much of a friend to me. After everything you went through, like losing your job, losing your apartment, losing your savings because somebody crashed into you, which of course, absolutely sucks. She completely overlooked the physical pain and struggles I've been through. Just because Ethan, someone I used to be with, stepped in to help and refused rent, which I did offer, by the way, she labeled me a beggar. And then, to drive her point home, she even threatened to tell all our friends about my situation. Obviously, that's the last thing I'd want broadcasted to everyone. It's not something I'd go around advertising. It's a private thing. It's personal. I'd have to say that's manipulation, or at least that's some sort of emotional blackmail. If you don't do what I tell you to do, which is to leave this place of somebody that's helping you out, I'm going to tell everybody, go F yourself. Sophia Opie. In my opinion, you have nothing to be ashamed about. So if she wants to go about advertising your business, the only one that's going to look bad is her. She's going to turn into a gossip, and you can call her out for being a gossip. And what do you guys think about Opie's situation? What is your judgment, and what would you do if you were in her shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, let's dive into what the community has to say. Realistic Head 40279 commented, "Definitely not the jerk. Your friend Sophia is being a busybody, poking her nose where it doesn't belong." Her comments were harsh, judgmental, and probably not even close to the truth. You should consider limiting how much you interact with her, and remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices, except maybe to yourself. To this, Opie replied, I totally offered to pay my way, even said I'd scrub floors or do whatever chores needed doing. But guess what? He's already got a cleaning crew on the payroll. He's Mr. Takeout King, always eating food from somewhere else, but he never says no to the meals I cook. That's my way of saying thanks, you know? Then out of nowhere, Crazy House 12 jumps into the chat and blasts, definitely not the jerk here. Who does Sophia think she is? Some sort of queen? It's none of her business what you do. And when I saw that, I just had to reply, Sophia's always up in my grill, acting like she knows best. She's been like this since forever, always telling me I'm messing up, like when I married Ethan. It's like living in a crazy drama show. She warned me that Ethan would get tired of me, and guess what? She wasn't wrong. Ever since then, she's been waving that I told you so flag like it's some kind of trophy, acting like she's the ultimate know-it-all. But really, Sophia is just an absolute, full-on Alaskan puppy, and not in a good way. Then, out of the blue, Mom chimes in, you're not the bad guy here, and neither is anyone who sides with you. This whole thing, it's just between you and Ethan, nobody else. Just focus on getting back on your feet. It's like everyone's got an opinion in this wild soap opera of a situation. And then I hit back with, absolutely, I'm on it. I'm pinching every penny, saving up to move out and get my life back on track. But wait, there's more to the story. I added in the comments, I'm working hard to pick myself up. Sophia, she just doesn't get it. Not everyone's got the golden ticket like she does. She was born into money, and then married into even more. So, she's clueless about how us regular, middle-class folks handle a whopping $120,000 medical bill. It's not like we can just cough up that kind of cash without draining our life savings. Sophia's living the dream life, like seriously next-level privileged. Imagine this, her family's been covering her rent forever, and she's sitting on a trust fund so massive, it's like a never-ending gold mine that'll last her family for like 2 to 3 generations. But that's not all. She's super smart, like genius-level smart. This probably makes her think she's invincible, like she can't fail no matter what she does. And here's the kicker. She's convinced that I'm just mooching off Ethan because I'm not paying rent. Can you believe that? She's got all this dough and still thinks I'm the one taking advantage. I've totally tried to pay Ethan, but he's just not having it. We end up spending a bunch of time talking about all sorts of stuff like movies, philosophy, and science. Get this, he even falls asleep in the room I'm using, which I borrow from him. He's got this idea that if he's using the room too, then I'm not really a renter and shouldn't have to pay. Makes sense, right? But when I try to explain this to Sophia, she just doesn't get it. She keeps saying I shouldn't have taken his help if I was going to be greedy. Seriously, I've tried paying, but she's stuck on this idea that I'm taking advantage of the situation. So, Sophia's all about this pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. She's big on everyone fending for themselves, no handouts, no calling mommy and daddy for help. She did offer to help me scout for apartments or put out a word for a ground-level place, but that's as far as her assistance goes. And let me tell you, Sophia's always been the my way or the highway type. She saw it coming that Ethan and I wouldn't last, but still, I can't help feeling a bit let down. Even if she didn't want to pick sides, a little support would have been nice, instead of just staying totally neutral. It really feels like I've been emotionally sucker-punched. I don't see myself as a beggar, but the thought of Sophia telling others about my situation is downright embarrassing. Maybe she has a point somewhere in there, but I doubt she understands just how limited my options were. I was at rock bottom, sleeping on the floor at a former coworker's place. Yet, it seems like Sophia would rather see me out on the streets than accepting help. It's a tough spot to be in, and her attitude isn't making it any easier. I'm not sure about everything, but one thing I do know is that Sophia can't even fathom the idea of me being homeless. And no, she's definitely not after Ethan. She wouldn't dare jeopardize her own marriage. Sure, she admits Ethan's a looker, but in her eyes, he's just too unreliable and not her type at all. They've stayed good friends mainly because they mingled in the same elite social circles. I was Sophia's friend first, but honestly, I've never quite managed to blend in with their wealthier crowd. It's like we're from different worlds. I like to believe that I'm smart too, even though life has thrown some tough challenges my way. I've always done the best I could, living carefully, saving money, sticking to the rules. But despite all my efforts, it feels like everything I worked for just vanished in a flash. Ethan's been incredibly kind through all this, and sometimes that makes me feel guilty about the complex mix of emotions I have. There are times when he wants to talk a lot, and I feel almost obligated to spend time with him, considering the kindness he's shown me. It's a complicated situation, with gratitude and obligation all tangled up. Ethan might have a ton of friends, but beneath it all, he seems pretty lonely. I've even heard him crying in his sleep, something he never used to do. It's clear he doesn't like being alone. I've been making an effort to show my gratitude to him, and he seems genuinely happy to hear it. He's told me I can stay as long as I need to, even forever if that's what it takes. But deep down, I'm eagerly looking forward to saving enough money to find an apartment I can call my own, a place where I can start anew. He's becoming too close and too affectionate, and that's a problem for me. There's still a part of me that holds feelings for him, and his actions keep stirring up those old emotions. So no, I can't say I'm happy. That would be too strong a word. I'm too heartbroken for that. But at least I'm safe and managing all right for now. I'm actively working towards moving out. I thought I had moved past all the emotional turmoil, but being this close to him again, it's clear I'm still hurting. The healing process, it seems, still has a way to go. Update. A couple of days after my post, Sophia reached out and apologized for using harsh words. I accepted her apology, but things were still uncomfortable for me. She said she found an apartment I could live in. It was on the first floor and had access to public transportation. The rent was high, but not out of my budget. I would be living with 3 other people in the apartment. I checked it out, and it was acceptable. I told Ethan that Sophia had found an apartment for me, and he flipped out. He said I couldn't live there because it was a dangerous part of town. We discussed it and came to a compromise. He would feel better if we went to a hotel in the area for a few days, but one morning a man followed me. It was really scary what Ethan pointed out. He saw it as clear evidence that the area just wasn't safe. When I spoke to him about it, I admitted that staying here was my only option for now, unless I wanted to move back to my parents' house and start job hunting all over again, or maybe crash on a friend's couch. But going back to my parents isn't simple. They live in a developing country, and I'm not fluent in the language there. So for me, that's an absolute last resort, something I'd only consider if I had no other choice left. Ethan reminded me of his offer, saying I could stay as long as I needed. Just like I told him before, I don't want to become a burden. His offer was incredibly generous, but I know I can't lean on his kindness forever. He suggested that Sophia might be influencing my thoughts. In response, I once again offered to pay him rent, and this time, to my surprise, he agreed. But he deliberately wastes rent money on silly things to prove a point. I told him that, but he said if I didn't like it, I could stop paying or pay him another way. I dropped the conversation. Sophia asked me why I hadn't moved into the apartment. I said I was paying rent to Ethan, and she chewed me out. Sophia and Ethan's social circles overlap. So Ethan found out about how Sophia was saying I chose to stay there, even when she found me a new place to live. He got into an argument with me and said that I should stop talking to Sophia. He made an ultimatum of him or Sophia. I chose him. Since then, he's been very happy. I'm happy to see how cheerful he is, but I can't handle the constant hugs, snuggles, or pinching. It makes me feel bad and dredges up bad thoughts. I feel inadequate and crushed because he may be able to be platonic friends with me, but I still haven't gotten past the hurt. On a positive note, I started physical therapy and signed up for a free counseling program through my work. I'm working with a really tight budget, so I've got to make every penny count. Nicely handled, Opie. You guys know I'm not a fan of ultimatums, but in this scenario, I'd say it's the one time they're justified because, let's be honest, Sophia is being completely unreasonable. When it comes down to it, there's hardly any choice at all. It's like deciding between something sweet like a cupcake and something totally awful like a turd. And again, Opie, I gotta say, I keep thinking that Sophia was the one that caused your divorce and that Ethan regrets it. And that's why he's so happy with having you in the house. He just doesn't know how to say it. Maybe that's just me living in Neverland, but I don't know. What do you guys think anyways? Here's wishing you the best in the future. Opie's story. I'm 26, and my ex-girlfriend is 25. We had been together for around a year. A few weeks back, we were chilling with some of her friends. Not the one in question, though. We got into playing this quiz game, and one of the questions that came up was about cheating. I made a comment about how much I despise cheaters, and right after that, I caught one of her friends giving my ex-girlfriend a peculiar look. And I also noticed my ex-girlfriend got a bit uncomfortable. It was weird and got me thinking. The next day, I asked my ex-girlfriend about it. She said that she wasn't going to lie and admitted that she cheated on her ex with a friend. This was a year before she met me. I felt upset about it because she'd never mentioned it before, and I asked her what had happened. After my comment about cheaters, she confessed something shocking. She admitted that once, when she was drunk, she hooked up with her friend. Let's call him Jack. Jack wasn't just any friend. He was a former friend with benefits, and they were still hanging out quite often. I was aware of my ex-girlfriend's history with Jack, and even though I wasn't thrilled about them spending time together, I tried to be cool with it. But finding out that she cheated with him, and that she was still in regular contact with him, hit me really hard. It was a double blow, learning not only that she was unfaithful, but also that she was still close to the guy she cheated with. I told her I needed some time to think, and after 2 days, I decided to break up with her. I didn't want to tell her that she couldn't be friends with Jack, and I knew I couldn't deal with her still being friends with him. So I just removed myself. So am I the hole? Oh, wow. No, of course you're not the a-hole. You've just made one of the most mature decisions I've come across on a subreddit in quite a while. Instead of trying to control who she can or can't be friends with, which is about setting boundaries, you faced a different situation. You discovered that your girlfriend did something completely against your values, not with a stranger, but with someone she continued to associate with. That's a tough spot to be in, and your response to it shows a lot of maturity, and you just decided, well, I don't have time for this drama. I'm moving on. And so then I say, well, good for you, OPI. That is a mature decision to make. Maybe some other people would actually go the route of saying, I don't want you to be friends with Jack, and try to work on that, and let's set up some boundaries here and there. But your boundary is just, did you cheat? Yes. Are you still friends with that cheater? Yes. Well, I'm out. And as I said, that is an absolutely valid boundary to set, and that's it. So, well, good for you. OPI totally and absolutely not. The a-hole. And what do you guys think? What is your judgment, or how would you have handled the situation? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Now, let's check out what the community has to say about this. Jackman1651 commented, one intense argument with you and another drunken night with Jack nearby seems a bit too risky, right? Not cool. Friends with benefits can be a tricky situation. You saw the warning signs, but still continued the relationship without insisting she cut ties with him. It's a complex situation for sure, since they are friends. Then you cut her off for a really mature decision of not wanting to control who she can hang out with. You have a good set of morals on you and made a really informed decision and confident you'll find someone who won't have this dynamic for you to come to terms with. Conscious Birthday 90 says, buddy, how can I put this? It's highly likely that nobody but you will ever really take charge of looking after your mental health. Some people will try to contribute, but in the grand scheme of things, their help will be insignificant. Others will help accidentally by being decent human beings. But really, it's mostly all on you, and always will be. I strongly suggest you do it when you removed yourself. You definitely handled it well. Well done. Not the jerk here. Lady Reg chimed in with, definitely not the jerk. Don't make someone your priority when you're just an option to them. In her case, omitting the truth is as good as lying. She lied to you by omission every time she hung out with him. Yes, she ultimately told you the truth, but the real issue is trust. If you feel like you can't trust her, that's the bottom line. That's a perfectly fine reason to walk. And what about the option thing I mentioned? If she truly loved and respected you, she'd have been honest from the start and prioritized you enough to give you the option to decide how to proceed. Best to you. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm not going to tell her who she can and can't be friends with. Totally refuse to be one of those controlling boyfriends. But here's the twist. I didn't even feel the need to test her by asking her to stop seeing Jack. Why? Because in my eyes, she'd already made her choice loud and clear when she decided to keep hanging out with him, even though she was with me. The real kicker? I was in the dark about the whole situation, but she knew exactly what was going on. She had all the facts, and she chose to keep me out of the loop. I don't want to be with someone who hangs out with someone they cheated with, basically. If she can't tell me why this is such an issue without me having to point it out, we shouldn't be together. And for those of you trying to justify cheating with lines like cheating has roots in not getting what you need from a partner and looking elsewhere, F off with that. If you're not getting what you need from a partner, then break up. If you use that to excuse any past cheating, then I hope your current partners never fail to provide what you need. And I bet the person you cheated with wouldn't mind, though, specifically since you're still in touch. Update. About a week after I posted my original post, my ex-girlfriend dropped by my place. She came up to me saying she wanted us to get back together, claiming it was silly for us to break up over this. But I laid it out for her. I was just not cool with her being friends with Jack. She tried to brush off her fling with Jack as a mistake and something that belonged in the past, insisting she's changed since then. But I shot back, doesn't really seem like it to me. I mean, how could I just brush that under the rug? She goes out drinking with Jack very often, and you two were effing after you and your ex broke up. They were friends with benefits before and after her ex. I told her I'm just not taking a chance to be her next sucker. Then she said, "What if I cut off Jack? Can we get back together?" Then I was tempted for a second. To be honest, our relationship had seemed pretty solid, but then I remembered some comments from my last post. So I just went for it and asked her straight up, "Have you been hooking up with Jack since we split?" Man, you should have seen her face. It was the worst attempt at a poker face I've ever seen. She totally stumbled over her words. When she finally spoke, I just gave her this look like, yeah, right, that's total BS. She must have caught on to my disbelief because then she quickly added, "I mean, we were broken up." As if that made it all okay. I just put my hands up and said, "Nope." I then asked her to leave. She was really upset and winning. Like I said, OP, good for you.